There's an issue that has come up, a lot of debate, listed a lot of debate, the question of the deputy governor, in that their role is not outlined in the constitution, and so they're at really the mercy of the governor assigning them duties. And we've seen it play out in various counties. What's your thought on that? Is it, should we have had clear roles for the deputy governor, or do we even need the deputy governors in the first place?
I think that's the plight of deputies all over the world, because even when you look at the national level, the description of the role of the deputy president is very brief. It is like to assist the president and to do other things that the law says they can do, or to do whatever the president asks them to do. And that was the same model used for the governors. But you see, when you are a deputy governor, model used for deputy governors, but you see, when you are a deputy governor in a county, you know, people will want to know, what do you do? Because it's home, it's near. So you get these fights between governors and their deputies, because the deputy governor is staying without much work, so that sometimes they can't chair, you know, a cabinet. They can't really do real
And
work.
when they fall out, even at a personal level with the governor, it really affects the county operations.
Yes. And I would think that if there was a law which says that they could head a ministry, one of the ministries, so that it's clearer, they can, you know, be responsible for a ministry. Although sometimes they don't like that, because of if you head a ministry, you must go to the county assembly and be audited. So some of the questions that they are asked, they might think that that is exposing them, and it can be politicized. And some of them want to be governors subsequently. But I think there should. Maybe we need to look at how they can do more than is the situation for, because although the deputy president has, the constitution is very bare in terms of the functions, but in reality, the deputy president, you know, will do many things, including being like the chair of IBEC, you know, and very, very important functions, so to speak. And of course, because we're also talking about a coalition situation, although it's Jubilee, but you know, people know that there is a silent coalition underlying the reality of Jubilee. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at, including how when our deputy president, our deputy governor, because it's not very clear, as has been the case of Nyeri, the case of Nairobi, how you appoint another one.
Exactly.
You know,
what happens?
What happens? I think that there is a bit of
a
gap.
Okay. Let's focus now on Makueni. And you will go down in history as the governor who petitioned for his county to be dissolved. Talk to us about, from where you sit, what led to that moment? Because on one hand, you praised devolution. You said this is something that should have begun a long time ago, but you were ready to give it up. You were ready to say, I can't do this. Let's forget about the county of Makueni. What led to that moment?
You know, when I came into Makueni as a governor, in advance I knew the potential of devolution, because when the constitution was being written, I participated in that. And so I could see from this structure of the government the opportunities that are inherent from the county point of view. So when we had, of course I was a minority governor, because I was in Muungano and the majority were Wiper. And even after some time they moved away from Wiper and you know, went into another party in reality. So they were really fighting to make sure that the government didn't work. And because the county assemblies are as powerful as the National Assembly, because they pass the budgets. If they don't pass a budget, there's nothing you can do. If they don't pass your employees, there's nothing you can do, the senior ones. So there are statutory things that they must do. So these MCAs decided that they were not going to facilitate our work. Like they told me that they want $1 billion. And that time we were receiving like about $5 billion They want $1 billion for their salaries and, going to China, going to wherever. So I told them, now this is not possible, because even at that time, the recommendation from Treasury was about 180-something million. So I told them that this I will not accept, because we didn't come here so that we can use this money. This is money for the citizenry, first and foremost. And they were serious. They said that, they want this money. If I don't accept, they will not pass the budget. The first year, they didn't pass the budget for about, we wasted like about 4 months.
Wow.
The second year, they didn't pass a budget until 9 months. They didn't pass a budget. So 9 months, we couldn't work.
Right.
We were just paying salaries without working, because they refused to pass the development budget. Because if you pass it in March, and the end of the financial year is June, there's
not much,
that can be done. So I called the people of Makueni. I think it was about 3,000 of them. And I told them from all over the place. I told them that this is not working. And I was not just being elected to come and earn a salary, because I really wanted to work for the people of Makueni. So this is not working. And because it is not working, you must decide what you want to do. And because in terms of civic education, they knew there were provisions for recalling, dissolving a county government, they decided that is what they were going to do. And they went around collecting the signatures. They carried them to Nairobi. They were being helped even to get matatus and so on by people who are able in the communities. And so that process started. And of course, the president at the end said, this is not a good idea, because it can boomerang, and you can get so many counties
doing the same,
and then this will also interfere with devolution. But what it did was all the things that county assemblies were doing, like getting ministers, censured and removed and stuff like that, impeaching people. I was also impeached, but not successfully.
Yes.
So all those things came to a bit of a halt. So in a way, the shock wave sent by that
that it's actually possible to go to the...
Precisely.
To dissolving a county.
Yes, and of course, what the citizens said, they said, okay, the president has done what he has done because it's in the constitution, so we accept that, but we are waiting for these guys, 2017. And in 2017, only one of them came back.
In hindsight, do you think that was too extreme a measure for the people of Makueni and yourself to have supported dissolution? Because maybe one would have said, if it was an issue of you could not get along with these MCAs, what if you resigned and allowed another person, and perhaps there'd be... Wasn't it too extreme?
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Because if they want money, they want money.
It doesn't matter who comes.
It doesn't matter who comes back, because unless you play their game, you will not also survive. That was necessary, and it couldn't have been done. It wouldn't have been done otherwise. And I was actually ready to terminate my governorship at that juncture if the people thought that we could continue, because there's no need of, indeed, the 3 years that we wasted during that struggle, because they even took some of my top workers to EACC. And after 8 months of those top people not being at work, the court said that this was witch hunt, and actually the speaker who had taken them should himself go to be taken to court, criminal court, because of cheating to the EACC. So the issues were that
serious.
They had to be resolved that way.
Yeah. So in a sense, Makueni County wasted its first term, and you were vindicated.
We wasted 3 years.
Yeah.
But we worked in 2 years. When now they now realize that the people are not joking. So for the last 2 years, that is when we started, real work, because that's now when the budgets were freed. But they still thought that within those 2 years, we wouldn't do enough work for the people to re-elect us. So I think there was a kind of a conspiracy.
Yeah. And you're vindicated then. You're back and you say only one survived of the MCAs.
Well, the people were vindicated because it was their creativity which led to, you know, some sense being knocked into the heads of all of us in Makueni. And indeed, even in the devolution system within the counties. So I am happy that the Makueni people are very courageous.
There's a picture of yours that went viral, seated on a rock with some of your area residents. It looked like a baraza type of a setup. How do you describe your style of governance and how you're engaging with the electorate now to ensure that you can be able to catch up on lost time in as far as bettering their lives?
For us, public participation is very, very important. We want to really do things that we have discussed with our people, and they give us leadership in terms of our needs. Even if there is a technical way of packaging whatever you are told, and you can conceptualize and you can put them in policies and legal frameworks. But I think if people feel that they have told you what they want, and then you find how to do it in a technical way, and then people can tell you that this is wrong, we think this is wrong, correct this, and you listen. I think in these smaller entities, counties, because like we have 1 million, population of 1 million.
Okay.
Others have even less, you know, less populations. So I think that is why we emphasize that, like when it's our budgets, we start our budgets at the village level, and we have about 3,612 villages. So they begin there. They talk about what do they have, what are the problems that they have, you know, how should the budget look like. Then we go to like 10 villages together, a cluster. Then we go to sub-wards, about 60 of them, then the 30 wards, then the 6 sub-counties, then the county itself. And actually, for example, budgets, they must be developed through that system, and they negotiate themselves, and it's not easy. So even when we give things like bursaries, there's the level where they sit down and they say, these are the kids who are orphans, and we, you know, write the checks. Even when we do like loans, there's something we call Tetheka loans, which are like 30%, 3% interest, actually administrative costs. So again, we ask them, who are people who will, when they get these loans, they will repay, they're hardworking, so that they choose.
So there's heavy involvement of the people, and you've devolved further from the county to other structures.
Also in Schedule 4 of the Constitution, Function 14 of the things that the county governments do, it is indicated that you must really go as low as you can in terms of the delivery of services. So I like that. I like that because people also feel that their leader or their leaders are like them. Because, I mean, as a person, I'm just like any other person. I may have a position, but God creates us equal. And so that is one thing that I'll miss at the end of my being a governor. This interaction with the people, listening to people, even when sometimes it's difficult because there's a lot of demand on you, but maybe also from my past NGO work, my past research orientation. That's why I think that I like that kind of style of
engagement.
The citizenry.
What would you say is the biggest challenge you face now in your second term, and the issues that must be dealt with in the county?
Like now we have a major problem of accessing finances from the national government, because I think because of the politics, the too much politics. Maybe there isn't enough stability so that the taxation is at the level where it should be. So we are relatively starved for resources from the National Treasury, and the contractors are beginning to hesitate when you give them a new job because they don't know when they'll get paid. And we have debts of those who are finished. projects. We have money in the treasury, but we can't access it. So that's a big problem.
Right.
The other problem is something that we discussed earlier, how you make the workers gel, so that there is a new culture of delivery by everybody. That is a problem. The other problem is, of course, the expectation of the people. Yes, they say this first round, you had conflicts and all that. Now, we have a splendid assembly. Not that the majority are us, but they know what they should do. They are following the laws. They tell us that they will oversight us. They will be very focused on that. And we say that's good because that's what they're supposed to do. We must be kept on our toes. So there is that. It is really to make sure that now, when it comes to the workers, those workers are now doing their best as well, doing as best so that you actually earn a salary. Some of them feel that they can jive, which is not a good thing. And then therefore those expectations of our citizenry, they want now good delivery, and they want the big things. They don't want the things which are latif, the small things, or CDF, the small things.
Yes.
They want projects of impact. And we are fortunate that so far we have done some things like our universal health project. It has some impact. We have done a fruit processing plant. We have done a milk plant. I think there are things like those, building, like we are about to complete 2 major hospitals, a trauma center on the main road, and a trauma hospital, and also a mother and child hospital. So we are doing also a major bridge on the Parque River, things that the national government perhaps could be doing, but it's also doing Parque for us, it's doing Konza for us, because I also believe that we must engage the national government. Yeah. We cannot, as a county, we cannot say that, we are just doing a county thing.
Yeah.
We engage the national government, we engage the international community, we engage NGOs. There should be more interaction at the summit level between the governors and the president and the deputy president. I think the governors want that. But sometimes there's suspicion and so on, and politics and Jubilee. In actual fact, one very positive thing that has happened in the first cycle was the governors were not, when they sit together, they are not Jubilee and TNA or and URP and
parties.
YPA. They are not parties. They they really work for devolution, and we make decisions by consensus. I think people should look at that model, because that is the model that can work very well for our country.
Yeah.
That model of the Council of Governors is a good model.
Bipartisanship. So what do you want to tell the people of Makueni that this second term has begun? What is your promise to them?
We have said that we want to really work on water and food security. That's a big thing. And within that, also the environment, because of the climate change issues, like afforestation, landscape restoration. So that's one agenda. We want to work on to really entrench the universal healthcare system. We want to improve infrastructure, although the bigger roads and so on are national government, but we want to improve that so that people have market access. We need to work on wealth creation for everybody, our households, which are about, let us say, 200,000 households, to do things that, and that's why, like when we do the plants and so on, we do the mangoes, we want to do arbitral, we want to do honey, and so on. We want to do that, but specifically youth empowerment. I think that's what I really want now to help. We have about 300,000 youth between 15 and 35.
Right.
If we can help them to create a system which is youth-driven, which is driven by themselves, which answers the question of economic empowerment and their dignity. You know, I would really feel I have done something.
You've done something.
And we have done something, because our legacy is not the legacy of the governor and deputy. It is a legacy of the Makueni people.
Okay. Before I let you go, this is your last term. You cannot run for governor again. So what after this term? What's next for you?
I started working very early. At 23, I was a lecturer at the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
And if God gives me the years up to 2022, I'll be 68. I've done enough public work, and I've done some work for my country.
Right.
It's time to rest. And I really want to give some time to my family so that we can enjoy each other. And I have now, grandchildren. They are coming. I'm expecting more. I like kids, so I want to, give them time.
Okay.
I also write. I'd like to read and write, give some.
Would you write something on devolution and your experiences?
That's possible, and the constitution and elections.
Yes.
Also I write creatively. Sometimes I write poems, I write plays.
Nice.
I try to write novels. I haven't had good time for that. I would like to, maybe do a bit of that. If anybody wants me to advise them, not a lot of time, I can do that.
Not a needy client.
I would ask God for like 5 years of private life.
Nice. Well done. Well done. We wish you well. And congratulations for the fact that you've been able to come. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.